Hi, my name is Madi and I'm a Colorado knitter. This is my YouTube channel all about knitting, making, dream making, ideas, brainstorming. I'm super happy to be here. I always am thinking about you guys during the week as I'm getting ready to podcast, and I'll get very excited about all the things I want to share. If you're new here, thanks for checking me out. And if you keep coming back, thanks. I truly have been having a great time doing this podcast. Okay, so to get started, I am wearing, now let's start with a date. It is February 6th, 2025. It's been extremely warm in Colorado for this time of year, but we've been enjoying the sunshine. I am today wearing, I feel dressed up, I think because it's a black shirt. I'm wearing the Myrtle Vest, and it's designed by Rebecca Clow from the Creabea, and she designed this for the Journal of Scottish Yarn, and I got to be part of the test on this. It is knit in Holstgarn Super Soft, held double, and it's kind of an interesting construction. It is where you make these panels of colorwork, which are really fun to make separate from the entire garment, and then you create the rest of it in one piece and seam these panels on. One of the testers had done this tie at the bottom, which was great, and many of us jumped on that idea, which I love. But it's a fun one and it makes me feel dressy. All right, so let's see if I can stay on track. A couple other places you can find me are on Instagram, Colorado Knitter and Ravelry, Colorado 5 Knitter, and Blue Sky Colorado Knitter. I enjoy seeing everyone's makes and creations and inspiration, so I do check those platforms often. Alrighty, so the only thing I finished this week, and I love it so much, is a test knit for Tori Yu. It is her Cityscapes Cowl, and here it is. And I knit mine in Brooklyn Tweed Arbor, the color Butte, which I love. And I really enjoyed this project. I used a US 8 needle, which is higher or a bigger needle than called for in the pattern. And I chose Arbor because I felt like it was a good rounded yarn that would show the texture and the cables. These cables, I did use a cable needle to make, but the repeat is very simple to memorize and easy to kind of see where you're at to know when to do a cable. It is knit flat and then seamed. Here's my seam with a mattress stitch on the back. And the way this is written and designed, it makes it very easy to see where you should mattress stitch. It is asymmetrical, so the seam actually kind of lines up with your shoulder. So if you had shorter hair or you had your hair pulled back or anything like that, there was no seam showing really in the back. But I really enjoyed, I actually like that it kind of sits off-centered. Let's see, how does it go? Here it goes. Yeah, like this, so that it sits off center. Very comfy. I really love it. If I made it again, which I probably will, I think I would try a version with a US 7 needle. So it could be a little bit snugger at the neck, but as it is, I love it as a piece that goes under a denim jacket or anytime. It's really great. You could use a fun color, you could use a neutral. I feel like there's so many options for this, and it was really easy to make and a good one. So this should be coming out, I believe, in the next 2 weeks. So keep an eye out for the Cityscapes Cowl. Really enjoyed it. I will absolutely make that again. As a gift, it would be wonderful to have a few colors in your closet would be awesome. It's a good one. All right. So last episode, I talked about the fact that I had signed up for online classes hosted by the Makerie that's located in Boulder. I was signed up for Home by Hand, and it had a session on painting, had a session on hand sewing, and it had a session on embroidery. And so the boys' schedules did change, so I ended up needing to do the classes as a recorded class versus an online live class. So I was very thankful that was an option. And it also, the projects took me all day. In fact, I didn't even get to the painting yet, but I did listen to the class, so I will go over kind of some new things to me, which I had never really known about. And that's always the benefit. I feel like you can always get something fun and exciting and new from a class, and then you just start learning more and more and more to piece all the things together. So to start off, the first class was a session by Flora Walcott, and I will link these beautiful makers below. I'm going to link their Instagram handle so you can see the amazing work they do. Really inspiring, lovely, kind people. The class was very peaceful, and all the folks taking the class were very kind, as of course there's technical difficulties with different sources of Wi-Fi and cellular service, so everyone was so kind, and I'm sure at times the teachers were frazzled because it's harder not one-on-one in person, but they did a wonderful job. And Flora Walcott taught painting. Again, I didn't get to do it yet, but I have grand plans of trying it out. I even thought, oh, I can get it done before this video, but otherwise I won't record if I try to wait till I get things done. So what Flora went over was a paint that I had never heard of, and it's gouache, Gouache. I don't know if this will show up, but gouache paint. And what I didn't know about it was it is, let's see, she said it is more opaque than watercolor, but you do like on your, oh, excuse my reaching, you should see my table. So like this is my little new to me palette. Yes, it's a ceramic palette. So you'd put your paints here, these main colors that was sent by the Makerie for this kit of gouache, so a little bit of gouache on each. And I didn't realize, but you add a little bit of water. And so not a lot, not like you would soak it wet with watercolor, but just a little bit of water. And then you paint on watercolor paper. And so it's more of an opaque look. And what she taught was with just these three paints, three colors, which is a green, a berry, and a mustard, adding white and black that you provide allowed it to expand your color palette immensely. So first thing she has you do is dilute each color, maybe with a white or then a black, and then change your palette, which was awesome because the finished items were all varied and different because each person diluted it a little different ratio. She did mention that this brand of gouache allowed some of the, so like I say you painted a leaf berry color, which I'll show you next time, hopefully I get to. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. So you paint a leaf berry color, and then if you just did dots on the leaf with this brand of white, it was like elevated. Like if you did that with watercolor, it would just kind of seep in. But this allowed it to be kind of a, not 3D, but a little bit above the dimension of the first layer of paint, which I can't wait to try. I'm very excited to try that. The other thing that was kind of cool was you can re-wet. So say I did this trial of painting and then I got distracted with 700 other cast-ons, and then a week later I decided, oh, I want to paint again. I can re-wet the little templates of paint and it would reactivate so I could use them again. So I would probably, knowing me, I would put it in a Ziploc or something, and then I would re-wet it and see what happened. So I'll have to try that out, but I was really fascinated by that. So again, gouache I had never heard of, and I have to admit I do like the look of a more opaque picture or painting, and watercolor is so translucent. So I'm pretty excited to try this, but I'll have to leave that one for next time. Let's see. I did catch the end of the live video, and the very first day, Allie of the Makerie, she scheduled a movement session with an amazing yoga instructor. Her name is Caitlin Rose Kennedy, which I'll link below. And I have to say, for the small bit of movement that Caitlin offered, it was really good movement. And it was just where I stepped aside, pushed my chair in, and could do it right here. And it actually felt really, really good. I'm a little fidgety, as you know, and so I sometimes kind of like in a rush to do something else. And so I really felt good to slow down and do that little session with Caitlin. So she lives up in Lyons, Colorado, and I would be interested in seeing more that she has to offer. So the second day of Home by Hand was a class by Aruna of Butte, which again, I'll link her beautiful Instagram below. And that class was using scraps, which I have a lot of fabric scraps that I love and don't like giving away or putting away or throwing away. And so this session was about hand stitching, which is not my forte. I tend to use the sewing machine if I sew, but it was nice to kind of get some techniques that I struggled with, such as tying a knot at the end of my thread. I'm actually going to try to show you. I don't know. I wore black on purpose to show a white thread, but we'll see if it shows up. If it doesn't show up very well, I will actually try to insert a video here. But like I said, I wanted to make sure that I got these things on recorded, because if I just keep waiting till I finish the things in my brain, it'll never happen. And I know you guys understand. So with Aruna's class, there was a lot of things that I wasn't familiar with. As far as one thing was tying the knot in the thread. Every time it was like a different kind of knot, or it was like a knot that was too high on the string or something like that. So that was really nice to get to do the knot consistently. So first we'll start with that, because otherwise I'll just go through too much stuff. So what I have here is just some Purl cotton, which I think I got this bundle secondhand, and it was like a bag of these little Purl cottons. So I have a variety of them. And then, so you thread your needle as you would, and it's going to probably take me a minute because I usually have to ask my boys to thread it. Okay. Ugh. Let me try again because I split the yarn or the thread. But Aruna's idea was to use these precious scraps into making these pinch pouches. And she was, if you ever see her items for sale in Butte, there's a lot of effort that goes into this. Like, it took me all day to finish this pouch. All right, so, okay, see my string here. I hope you can see it. Then you make a U, and then you hold the end over here. So the part of your U, wrap 1, 2, 3, and then hold your needle and slide it down. And there's your knot. I have no idea if you could see that, but when I rewatch this, I'll see if you saw it. The next thing that happens to me, so here's my knot, is sewing, 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 and this tail comes out. And I'm like, no, because it took me forever to thread the needle the first time. So her advice was, if you pierce the end, the thread, so you go through the thread with your needle, and you pierce it, it locks it in. Like I am pulling, it locks it here, but it doesn't make it not go through your fabric. Like, that was awesome. I hope you could see that, because that is such a great tip. Because seriously, I would sew and then boom, my needle is in my hand, but the thread is not. So I would get super frustrated. So this was awesome. Hopefully you could see that. If not, I'll insert a video. Okay, the next thing was the idea, I believe she called it orthographic. The idea of orthographic visual, I don't know, appearance of something is that some of the lines line up. So this is a scrappy project. However, this line lines up, these line up. So it gives it some order, even though it's scrappy. That was something I've never thought of. Because if you look at her projects, they're gorgeous and unique and interesting, but also not chaotic. They're very relaxing and very visually appealing, and I think it has to do with those lines every now and then meeting up, which was great. It makes a focal point that gives the item structure. These are like things I was jotting down because I was so excited. And then it was nice to talk. So this pouch actually has every shape she talked about. So we learned about creating these little points in the middle. We learned and reviewed sewing curves. Now the entire patchwork I did by hand sewing. My hand sewing is definitely not structurally strong because I think I go too far apart, but I really enjoyed how peaceful it was. So I could actually see, I could take a little pouch of scraps if I went on a long trip to kind of get the sewing bug out if I had it on that trip. I did put the actual pouch together by sewing machine though, and I would continue to do that for myself. Aruna did say she's not a knitter, and so the hand sewing makes a lot of sense that way. So she could take it to the park or hanging out with her kids or on the go, things like that. Let's see what else I could tell you. Okay, so the next thing I did was I ordered more of these pinch. You could see me pinching it, and it's in here, but I haven't received them yet. Aruna offered a link of where I could purchase more, so I will link that below, and then the next time I'll show you how they work, because I had never known how they work. They essentially are open, so it's like like this. It's an open piece, so that you put in like this, and then the end you put a pin to close it, which I had no idea. So I'll show you once those come in, but I'm super excited about these, and I will show you another one that I made the pieces already for later on. Later on in the show, okay. So the last class, again, did it all recorded because the boys are busy. And I like to make sure that I hang out with them because they go to school during the week and I have that time. But this was on a weekend. This was by an artist that I had never heard of, Adriana Flores, and Adriana Torres. Let me make sure. And I will link her below too. But her art is these amazing sweater chairs. So you have to go look at her Instagram. Her embroidery is stunning. Like some of the stitches I tried and I had a hard time doing, but I am so glad we get to review the video for a month because I will review it and review it and review it. Beautiful, beautiful work. I know I wrote her name down. I'm pretty positive. I'll look on Instagram just to make sure. It's Adriana Torres. Yes, Adriana Torres. and I will link her below. So she does these amazing chair, I just gotta show you. And I'm gonna show you on the phone, okay? Because it's right here and it feels most natural. I'm gonna screenshot it so it can be big. But you guys, look at this chair. That's embroidered. That's a lot of work and amazing. And then I will post a few more pictures up here. But I am so amazed at her work, and I did learn quite a bit. Actually, the most exciting bit I learned was a new to me thread that I had no idea existed. So I have used DMC embroidery thread, which is lovely, and I love the colors they offer, and it just looks like this. But I didn't realize DMC offered a wool thread, and this is DMC Eco Vita, and it's organic wool, and I felt like my mind was blown. So this is wool thread for embroidery, and I am in love. And I ordered a few colors from DMC website. So I can't get over this. And so I knew there was always this tapestry wool, which is just thicker. It kind of looks like yarn, but I didn't realize there was this thinner one. So a whole new world has been opened for me, and I am pretty excited. This is the sampler I worked with. So this is supposed to be a chair. She gave a template that she drew. This is the chair seat, was something I had never done. It was couching, I think is what you call it, but she called it the burden stitch, which creates this gorgeous texture. I only did, so I have an extra leg, but these are the chair legs. And then this is kind of like a sampler. So she showed how to do the hem, and then just a stem stitch to outline the sweater, and then kind of a sampler, which for my hands was a little small because a lot of the stitches were new to me. This one up here is an Argentinian knot versus a French knot, and very fun, very intrigued. So what I wanted to do was, I kept looking at my little work in progress, and I kept thinking it would be cool to like embroider a sweater that I'm working on instead of this template. And then I was like, oh, that's a lot of work. So then I saw my swatches from last year that I had in a pile, and I decided to cut them into little sweaters. So here's one, and this is a sweater I had made last year, an Alicia Plummer design. So I thought about sewing that one on. And then this other swatch is a fluffy little guy, and I thought about sewing this one on. So my brain was all over the place. But I think it's so cute with a little actual swatch of the sweater. But I will put some of her gorgeous embroidery work here, and you can be fascinated by her work. It's amazing. So that was my 3 sessions of the Makerie Home by Hand, and I really learned a lot. It was challenging, but nice that you could review the material, like I said, over the month. It's not endless, so I kind of wish it was endless video viewing, because knowing me, I'll be distracted over the month, but I understand why it's not. Oh, the other thing that was kind of interesting to me that I never ever thought of was, so these lines at the chair are pretty evenly horizontal, and Adriana said if you use your, you go in where you would want your stitch to be and just mark the hole. So you're marking a spot on your material for embroidery, which I've never really thought of using it just to pinpoint a hole that I wanted to go into. So that was really interesting and never crossed my mind. Let's see. All right, so moving on from the class, I think. Yes. So what I've been working on besides finishing the Tori Yu cowl is castanitis. I certainly think about what's going on in the world and trying to be mindful and not terribly anxious about it. But I'm anxious about it, and so oftentimes I do turn to making and crafting and knitting, and there have been a lot of cast-ons, probably to reflect my mental status. But I first want to show you that I finished one sleeve of Briana Arlene's upcoming sweater called Alpine Everlasting. This is a sweater that I showed last time, which had this yoke on there. It's a beautiful yoke, and it's knit in Circus. Please tell me I have the paper. Yes. Merino Possum, woolen spun, 80% non-superwash merino, 20% New Zealand possum. And this is the Circus, excuse the torn label, but Circus Tonic Handmade yarn. And the main color is Nila. And this is, and then the white, just to have more contrast, is actually a Sandisgarn alpaca wool. But I finished one sleeve. So I have to say, I confessed to Briana that my gauge is a little big, it's a little loose. I did swatch many times. That's just a pretty swatch. And I really thought I had gauge with the needle I ended up using, but it's a little, I think maybe with the weight of the sweater, it's relaxed a bit. So it's a little looser than designed, but I actually really like how it fits and feels. It is a little deeper in the yoke, so it'll be, it might move, even though it's a raglan, it might move as I move my arm. But it is seriously cozy. I love that it's drapey at the neckline. So this should be coming out, I believe, in March, but it's gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So I finished up the color work of the second sleeve, and it should be smooth sailing. I was really amazed with this design because if you could tell here, Briana's pattern really guided you on how to line up the diamonds with this chevron here. As you pick up the stitches underneath the arm, it could end up, depending on the size of your knit, that these points, the point on the diamond and the point on the chevron, don't meet up. So she actually gives you a little tip on how to just kind of move your marker to make that happen. I love that she alerted us to that because I probably wouldn't have thought of it. So that was a really nice tip and really nice detail. I'm pretty excited about that because it'll be pretty quick to finish up the sleeve and the body, and then I get to wear it. I'm sure we'll have more snow in the near future, so it'll be a great one for the weather here. Let's see what else I've worked on. Okay, you guys can't laugh at all my cast-ons. So when I took Jake, our middle son, to his soccer, maybe 2 weekends ago, I was working on this because it's a great travel knit, the Woolens and Nosh. This is January, and this is what it looks like. I love her yarn. Michelle's yarn is gorgeous. The base is perfect for me. It is 90% Targhee, and let's see if I could tell you. 90% superwash Targhee and 10% nylon. And this one again is the Yarn Club January 2025 colorway. If hibernating is wrong, I don't want to be right. But awesome colors. This is the Woolens and Nosh yarn that I love, love, love. And so I will continue this. We have another soccer trip coming up. So what I'm gonna actually do is finish the foot and then cast on the other leg so that I have it for the games and the travel. It's just a great purse knit, bag knit, plain knit, card knit. So that's been in my little quilted bag that I showed last time. And the next sock I cast on is one from Summer Lee's Colorwork Cuff Club. And this I'm super excited about, which I will also take on our trip. So I'm actually at the heel for this one. I'm going to do, so let me go back. I see, this is what I end up doing. I'm like, here's a sock, and then I move on. But this is my sock, and I use a US 0. I just recently changed my size needle for Michelle's yarn, and I use a US 0 needle, cast on 60 stitches in this case. I did a twisted rib cast on, or cuff, German twisted cast on, and then I just knit until I decided to put the heel, and I did a shadow wrap heel by Earth Tones Girl, and then I'm on the foot. So I'm interested to see, I used to do 64 stitches on a US 0, but with my boots, sometimes by the end of the day, it was a little loose. Never so much that it would kind of feed into my shoe, but it was a little looser at the end of the day. So I will see how this works. I do love the fabric on a US 0 for that self-striping yarn. This one is super exciting for me. This is the Summer Lee Colorwork Club. It's her cuff club, and this is the month of February's club, and I decided to try it in 2 colors. I use this Mondim that I had from my stash that I purchased a long time ago from Fancy Tiger Crafts, but I did look it up. Fancy Tiger Crafts is no longer in business, but Mother Knitter and the Woolly Thistle do carry Rosa Pomar Mondim yarn. It's a non-superwash wool sock yarn, and I love it. It is very warm, and it's great for color work. So in this case, I followed the base pattern that Summer Lee provides, and I'm doing the heel flap, turn, and gusset, and I'm at that point already. And so this green is the main, and then I use this white, which I hadn't ever used this sock yarn before. It is Purl Soho's Quartz, and it's merino wool and Surya alpaca. And this is the heirloom white, and I actually really like it because I feel like it gave, with the alpaca, it gave it a little fuzz and a little bloom. This has been blocked and soaked, and it's coming out great. So I'm pretty excited about this two color work cuff. So this will go with me on a trip. And one more sock. Because why not? Why finish a pair if you could just cast on another single sock? This one, as you know, I love my test knits because it keeps me motivated and somewhat focused, because I like to dabble in all the things. But this one is, Alicia Plummer is killing me with her amazing patterns that are coming up. And so I want to knit them all right now. For some reason, I can't wait. So this is her upcoming sock pattern that'll, I think, again, end of the month, it should be released. But she doesn't have a name quite yet. But it is so cute. This, again, is Mondim. It does show a lot of fuzz that's in her house. So, like, moose hair, which is our dog's name. But this is a gorgeous red, and it's a really fun stitch. And I'd never done this kind of heel before, in the sense it is a heel flap, turn, and gusset, but it's ribbed. So I'm excited to see how that fits and feels. In this case, I did cast on with a US 1 German twisted cast on, a 2x2 ribbing, which the design is so it's folded over, kind of like a cozy hangout sock, but it is fingering weight, so it will fit in a shoe easy. I did knit the whole thing in a US 1 needle, and this is 2x2, and then this is her pattern, and then I'm very excited for this. So I do have the second one cast on, so it's ready to do this pattern when we are traveling. So this one's priority, and it should begin. Somehow this texture is really addictive, where sometimes if I'm not like watching a soccer game or watching a show, sometimes just the stockinette sock can get a little tiresome, but the texture is nice. Not tiresome, so to speak, but more like I want to try something new. All right, get into the next thing. I think we're doing good. I did sew a little, and should I talk about that already? Yeah, I think so. So I did sew a little bit, and I did some piecing, which you can see this cute guy right here. I had never tried Coriander Quilts by Tori Yu before, and I was buying soap and stuff from Amazon, and they got me, and I saw this pattern, which I love the little sheepies. And initially I was kind of thinking, I wonder if I could decrease it a percentage to make it smaller. But some of the pieces are pretty small, so I don't know if that'd be challenging. But I loved it as a big piece. So he's not done yet. There's still got to be a tail and some feetsies, but I'm pretty happy about how cute that is. Now, what I've loved so far about this pattern, I don't believe I've had a quilting pattern yet that showed each step and showed me which way to press the seam. And this does, which has made a huge difference in these points, so to speak. So, yeah, that was huge for me because I don't know which way to press. And then I press it and I try to nest it, and they're both the same direction. So I've really liked that this is telling me what to do. Now, one of the pieces I did read incorrectly, and it was these little guys here. I had read the wrong dimension to cut it out once it was seamed. And so instead of scrapping it, I made the front piece of this pinch pout, but via sewing machine, not hand stitched. And here it is. So this purple portion is hand stitched, which I was trying to get more of an even stitch, because oftentimes it's a little crooked or it's one piece is longer than the other. But I really like this. So this would be this front part like that for the pinch pouch. And I have all the other pieces right here. So I feel like that's a good way for me to use maybe some tiny pieces and then kind of quickly make a front piece for these little bags. So I'm very excited about that, and I'll put that together once I get the little pinch hardware. Alrighty, let's see. Okay, this is the last thing, and I don't know how long this video has gone on, but I do know that I really need to clean our floor. But my dream knitting, which when I saw this pattern, it is this darling gnome, which I'll put the picture here. And I've never knit one of these gnomes, but I've watched them as it comes through Christmas time. They make these gnomes, and there's like a mystery gnome. But this gnome got me, and I purchased the pattern right away. And I think it got me because of the way the legs are crossed, the little socks. I have to try this gnome. And so when I was thinking about the yarn that I will be taking on our trip for soccer, like these two, actually three, the white, green, and the color work, I think I'm gonna make the gnome out of these guys, what's left over. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm excited about all the things. I wanna make all the things. The weirdest part right now is I want to make all the things right now, which doesn't work. But I am thankful to have something to be super excited about. And I hope that you guys are finding joy in what you're creating and making and dream making, and I really can't wait to talk to you again the next time. But I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next time.